Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Camilla goes nuts over Prince William's final ultimatum to ban her grandchildren. An insider source said that Queen Camilla is likely to be placed in a very awkward situation since Prince William took away Camilla's grandson's royal title after he was observed harassing Prince George. A number of reports have come out in this period saying that Queen Camilla is hiding from all that has occurred to the kids in Wales. This film is going to be about finding out what truly goes on behind the Windsor door. There are reports of a hidden yet important incident that happened in the British royal family. Reports from those who know what happened say that the event ended with a strong statement from Prince William, the Prince of Wales. People say that what began as a fight between kids turned into bullying that included Prince George, the eldest son, and one of Queen Camilla's grandchildren. According to a number of tales concerning the scenario, this is what happened. Some people who know the family well say that the meeting caused William to behave in a way that might have long-lasting effects on the relationships within the House of Windsor and on how things will be done in the future. Palace officials and other people who have spoken about the event say that it happened during a family gathering at Windsor. It has brought to light long-standing problems with family roles, succession, and keeping the next generation safe. According to the version that palace sources spread, things started off with kids playing and then the royal family got involved in an official way. People say that King Charles III had to mediate between his wife and eldest son because he wanted to protect his son from the emotional trauma he had suffered. Different accounts say that this decision is the most important part of the story. The next story gives a summary of the information that has been made public, such as the alleged event itself, the family's immediate and later reactions, and the larger personal and institutional context that helps explain why this family fight has had effects outside of the garden where it happened. The meeting is described as an informal family gathering that took place on the Windsor estate. This is a venue where the royal family routinely holds private meetings to let the different branches of the family get to know each other better. These types of gatherings are meant to be low-key, so that kids who would otherwise grow up in a highly public and ceremonial setting might have a taste of what it's like to live in a family. People say that Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, the children of the Prince and Princess of Wales, were at this reunion. Queen Camilla's kids from her first marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles were also there. Reporters and commentators were given these tales. Present were other grown-ups, such as Prince William, Princess Catherine, King Charles, and Queen Camilla herself. It was said that the grown-ups were nearby, having tea in a public location, while the kids, who weren't being watched closely, played outside. People who spoke to palace staff members who were present at the time said that the atmosphere changed during a casual game of football. What began as the rough and tumble of a normal youngster activity is said to have turned into targeted taunting when one of Queen Camilla's kids apparently picked on Prince George. At first, it was said that the comments were because of the game's competitive nature, but subsequently, it came out that they turned into personal attacks. The stories say that the child made fun of some of George's behavior and the public position he is getting ready to take on. People say he said things like, "Why are you walking like that? Do you think you're better than everyone else because of your silly crown?" These comments, whether they were said exactly or paraphrased by people who were there, were said to be very different from the kind of teasing that kids often do to each other. Palace insiders said that the insults were pointed and well-informed instead. People thought that these taunts were based on adult beliefs that were given to a kid instead of being the child's own thoughts. The testimonies say that the content and tone of the remarks were what worried all of the staff workers and eventually led to the decisions taken by the oldest family members. Reports say that a staff worker who told a senior staff member about the incident later said that the verbal attack was far worse than playground teasing. As part of the teasing that was said to be aimed at George's habits and family, someone made a rude comment about George's late grandmother, Princess Diana. People said that using Diana's name, which is a very sad and sensitive issue in the family and in public discourse, was exceptionally cruel. People think George was taunted by being called Mummy's boy. This term, which is quite direct, hurt any kid's feelings, and in this case brought up memories of the past. People also say that the term Mummy's boy was used to talk about Diana. Insiders painted them as not only random acts of cruelty by kids, but as planned and deliberate, leading those who heard them to believe that the child who said them was echoing what grown-ups had told him. Insiders framed the supposed comments as such. It seems that things became so bad that it seemed like a major brawl was going to break out until a member of the royal family stepped in and separated the kids. Still, it was said that the event had a big effect on Prince George, who had just turned 11. But after the occurrence, he was said to be plainly unhappy and sobbing. People who know the young prince well say that he is usually calm and collected in public. A family bodyguard was quietly asked to take him out of the area so that he wouldn't draw too much notice or create further trouble. Reports say that the choice to take him away quietly was in line with the family's usual practice of keeping their youngest members away from public events, and it also met the immediate need to calm and comfort a child who was upset. She was informed that her kid had cried and that he was sad while he was in a car. Princess Catherine was told about this. Some people who know the Princess of Wales well have said that she acted stone-faced the whole time. This suggests that she has kept the calm, warm demeanor that is expected of her profession, but she is anxious on the inside. Even though Queen Camilla stayed to lead the assembly, the reports disagree on whether or not she completely recognized how serious the situation was at that moment. According to reports, Princess Catherine asked her son for a full account of what happened as soon as the Wales family got back to their home on the estate. Friends and aides say that the information he gave her made her very uncomfortable, and that he reiterated it in a later debriefing. Others who knew about the situation said that she thought the bullying was more than just kids fighting. It was something that happened over and over again and was planned. This probably reflected how adults talked about the kid who was being bullied at home. Prince William was made aware of the occurrence in a short length of time, and according to a number of accounts, the situation was seen as a major violation of boundaries rather than just a normal fight at home. There are tales that William and Catherine spoke for a long time about what happened that night, while Prince George, who was still weak, went to bed earlier than usual. William said that the event was unpleasant, not just because his child had been made fun of, but also because it brought back memories of when he was ridiculed as a child. People who know him say that he made a choice, that he would make sure his own kids didn't have to go through what he did if it came to it. The following morning, Princess Catherine chose to put off her public engagements so she could spend more time at home with her kids and take care of their emotional needs. At the same time, the couple sent a formal letter to King Charles's private secretary. There had been an incident with Prince George, and the Prince and Princess of Wales had asked to speak with His Majesty in private. The communication, as recounted by palace sources, was succinct and to the point. These testimonials say that the meeting was set up within 24 hours after the initial request. The couple's quick request and the meeting that followed showed that they wanted a private but forceful end to the matter that would go via the usual channels of palace communication rather than being handled by public statements or media interference. Reports from today say that the conversation during the private session was heated and difficult. Reports say that King Charles told his grandson how sorry he was about the catastrophe and how worried he was about it. On the other hand, reports say that Queen Camilla had a different point of view during that meeting. People who know her say she thought the fight was just a childish disagreement and that it would be over shortly. Some others thought that saying the kids were only children made the alleged verbal attack seem less serious. People say that when she was asked whether her grandson would face any form of punishment, she laughed it off. This attitude, according to the tale told by those who are close to the Wales family, was what inspired William's resolute reaction. According to those who were privy to the discussions, Prince William adopted an unusually strong posture when presented with what he believed to be an insufficiently aggressive reply. The sources say that he strongly contended that royal privilege and being near to the institution were not unfair benefits. Instead, they came with the requirement for respect, responsibility, and good conduct. William is said to have turned down the idea of a modest apology when his aides suggested that Camilla's family might fix things by sending her a private apology. The accounts say that his concern was not only the expressing of regret, but also the setting up of protections to stop this kind of behavior from happening again, and to keep his children from being exposed to such attitudes in the future. In this situation, he presented what many people have called an ultimatum. William said that while he was in charge of such decisions, there would never be any talk of giving Queen Camilla's grandchildren honorary royal titles or rank. He said that this was the best thing to do. He made a rule that family members had to be kept apart during family gatherings as soon as feasible. Reports say that his order said that Queen Camilla's grandson, who was involved in the alleged incident, would not be allowed to go to any public or private event where any of his children, including Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis, were present. Trooping the Color is a formal military parade and public birthday party for the monarch or queen. Members of the royal family usually appear on the balcony of Buckingham Palace during the event. The ban was meant to encompass a lot of different events such as private vacations, birthday parties, and formal events like Trooping the Color. The sources that spoke about the order made it clear how important and urgent it was. This idea was not meant to be a temporary way to calm things down. Instead, it was meant to be a policy that would control how people interacted at ceremonies and other times when the royal children needed to be handled with care. Because of this plan, practical things like who stands next to whom in formal pictures, whose kids are allowed on the balcony, and who sits together at state events would have to be changed to make sure that William's wish for separation is met. People who were at the palace and knew about William's decision say it was made without any chance for discussion. Some legends say that King Charles was surprised by how firmly his son answered. Many legends say that the monarch wanted the situation to be dealt with quietly, with little public fallout and no long-term family discord. William, on the other hand, who is frequently seen as calm and easygoing in public, had made a clear line between principle and conduct in this picture. To him, the scenario was more than just one event. It stood for deeper values, including the need to make sure that the next generation is raised according to what he thinks are basic rules, respect for family, and protecting his heritage. Sources close to the Prince of Wales say that any child who is linked to Queen Camilla would not immediately have the titles or status that come with being a member of the royal family. This is something that would happen during his rule. That claim, made as a statement of principle, also has practical implications. Giving titles, styles, and the narrower range of ceremonial privileges to the working family has historically involved a mix of dynastic rules letters, patent from the sovereign, and choices about who represents the monarchy at public events. The implication that William tried to influence such decisions to stop them from being made shows a willingness to make limitations clear instead of leaving them up to informal practice. On the other side, many who are close to Queen Camilla say that the events that have been made public have upset and disappointed her. Some people who know what's going on say that she feels that she's being portrayed as a villain not only by the tabloids, but also, according to some sources, by her own family. Even though she was the Queen's official and legal equal, she always thought she would never fully fill the emotional role that Princess Diana had in the family. Many individuals who have witnessed her rise to the position of Queen Consort say this. This interpretation says that the event, and what happened after it, only made her private anxiety worse. She has apparently been feeling this way for years, that she would always be seen as the one who came after Diana, unable to fully fit in with what some people call the family's core emotional constituency. Some people who know Camilla well thought that William's behavior was an attempt to build a permanent wall around a painful part of history. This story has to do with issues of legitimacy acceptance and the things that make family life hard to define. Reports say that from her point of view, a severe response from the heir apparent to a single deed done by a child would seem too much and might cause rifts that will be hard to repair. Other observers, however, contend that failing to respond assertively would in itself set a precedent. They contend that language and behavior evoking enduring familial traumas may be permissible if a family member is reluctant to assert fundamental requests for safety. Commentators and those who know the family well talk about how Prince William was bullied as a youth to help explain how serious his reaction was. Even if they appear to be enjoying a life of luxury, members of the royal family may yet feel very deep emotional sorrow. William became an adult during a period when his parents' troubled marriage and his mother's extremely publicized life and death were the focus of a lot of public interest. Because of these things, William's friends might easily criticize him. There have been stories for a long time about how his classmates made fun of him when he was a youngster because of intrusive paparazzi photos of his mother, Princess Diana. Some reports say that these pictures were especially upsetting. One frequently reported story is that while he was still a little child, he called his mother in tears because his friends had made fun of him over pictures of Diana sunbathing without a top on. He is said to have remembered this recollection as an adult, and it is said to have been brought back to life by repeated invasions of privacy, such as when pictures of his wife Catherine sunbathing while they were on vacation were published without his permission. The couple initiated legal action because their privacy was violated. This is in line with a long history of people fighting back against invasions that prior generations may have believed they had to accept. Many people think that William's early experiences have shaped both his public beliefs and his personal goals. He has been involved in anti-bullying campaigns and issues many times, which has helped raise awareness of how important support networks are and how important it is to stand up to cruelty when it comes to children. There is now public proof that he was involved in events put on by the Diana Award, a charity set up in memory of his mother that helps anti-bullying initiatives and student leadership. At these kinds of events, he has spoken on the idea that having reliable and accessible people to speak to, like family mentors or friends, is an important way to safeguard young people who have been bullied. In one case, it was said that he had named family members and even a pet as people he might turn to for help in an emergency. This shows how seriously he takes the subject and how much he needs personal assistance. Many of William's admirers saw the event with his kid as a continuation of a pattern, William protecting his children and publicly living by the ideas he has had for a long time. This was based on his personal experience and the work he has done in public advocacy. Another reason why the reported event caused such a strong response is the way William and Catherine have chosen to raise their children. Friends and advisors of the royal family say that the way they raise their children is quite different from the way previous generations of the royal family did it, which was more formal and duty first. The pair has made it clear that their objective is to provide their kids the most normal upbringing possible, even if they are always in the public eye. The choices they make every day show that they believe in this idea. William went to Gordonstown, a stern Scottish boarding school that taught kids to be independent and stoic. However, he and Catherine have tried to bring their kids closer to home. They decided to send their kids to Lambrook, a private day school that is not too far from Windsor. Their friends said that this choice would give them more time to spend as a family with their kids and would save them from being put in institutions too early in their lives. People have said that George may go to Eton College in the future, which is what is expected based on what has happened in the family before. But William and Catherine's main worry has always been making sure that their kids can grow up in a safe and stable household throughout their formative years. Princess Catherine, in particular, has been a strong proponent of an approach that focuses on the growth of young children, emotional intelligence, and hands-on parenting. Her show, Shaping Us, which focuses on the first years of life and the experiences that shape people for the rest of their lives, is often cited as an illustration of the couple's ideals. Gentle parenting is a kind of parenting that focuses on emotional support, mild discipline, and open communication. She has spoken out strongly in favor of these methods. People who are close to the family say that these kinds of ideas are used in the Wales household. People think that there is a purposeful effort to not shout at kids to get them to say what they think even when they are having temper tantrums and to listen to and agree with what they say. The pair says that their plan has been to cut down on their dependency on a permanent group of nannies and make sure that the parents are involved in their everyday lives. This is what those who have seen them do have said. They have pushed their kids to do chores around the home, such as setting the table, and cleaning up as part of their plan to create a normal family life. Friends and helpers say that this way of doing things may be considered both a personal decision and a sign of a shift in the rules for each generation. The Wales family has changed their parenting style since the late Queen's reign, when parents often had to put their jobs ahead of being with their children all the time. Now they say family first, duty second, during the early years of their children's lives. Catherine's choice to take longer maternity breaks with each birth is seen as a sign of changing ideas about how to manage family life and work. According to reports, top members of the royal family support this choice. In light of this, William's insistence on taking action right away, following the alleged bullying incident, fits with both his own background and the way he and his wife have chosen to raise their children. There is a disagreement between him and his supporters over whether protecting his children's mental health is only a personal issue or a philosophy that will lead the monarchy's modernization and transition. They think that the royal family has to change to fit the needs of contemporary parents and the public. People are expecting more and more that leaders, including those who are hereditary, will behave responsibly and put the needs of children first in both their words and deeds. However, it is important to understand that this event is part of a larger and more complicated web of relationships within the family, especially the conflicts that have been reported between Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales. For a long time, many who comment on and watch these two women have wondered whether they had an uncomfortable connection. There is also Camilla, who after a long time of public dispute over her past relationship with King Charles, has over time gotten official permission and the title of Queen Consort. Catherine is the other royal family member. Most people in the monarchy know her as a popular and modern persona, and polls and comments from the general public show that she gets a lot of affection from the general public. Their different public images have led to stories about a generational and stylistic difference at the heart of the family. For example, Camilla's traditional dedication to royal protocol and Catherine's more contemporary and personable image. Sometimes these differences have been seen as competitive behavior. Some people have guessed that Camilla, who has been fighting for public approval for a long time and has only recently gotten her full ceremonial role, may still subconsciously cling to the duties and sense of significance that her position affords her. One story that experts have been talking about is that Camilla has always wanted to be a queen and have all the things that come with it. This goal was only reached after a long and often turbulent trip in public. As another proof of conflict, observers have pointed to some events in public life and behaviors that many people think are private. For instance, a short gesture that was caught on camera during a state visit to the U.S. was widely analyzed in the news as a sign of stress. Some individuals thought that Camilla's action was a subtle way of telling Catherine something. Repeated media allegations that Camilla could regulate access to specific items of the royal jewelry collection show that there is an undercurrent of struggle over symbolic assets that have long been used to show status and continuity within the institution. These allegations say that Camilla is supposedly restricting what Catherine may have. Earlier versions have said that William and his stepmother had a difficult and careful relationship. Some royal experts have said that William is polite but distant with Camilla, while others have said that there is some distrust between the two of them. Authors and photographers who have studied royal life have said that earlier tensions in the family's relationships are due to the aftermath of Princess Diana's death and the belief among some observers that certain members of Camilla's circle tried to control public stories in ways that Charles's sons didn't always like. This view is said to have come about because some of Camilla's friends tried to control the stories others spoke about her and her boys. When seen from this angle, what may often be perceived as a child's dispute is interpreted as a surrogate for intergenerational conflict about influence narrative and the family's emotional core. This is because recollections of past conflicts make the current situation seem worse. In this light, the supposed ultimatum that Prince William gave may be understood in two ways. At its core, a father's desire to protect and respect his child is what drives him. On the other side, it shows that the heir apparent has authority, which is an early hint of how he can use his prerogative and influence in the future to change the family's internal traditions and the public face of the monarchy. The choice to restrict attendance and rule out the option of giving Camilla's grandkids honorary status sends a message about who will be allowed to join the inner ceremonial circle and under what circumstances. Other family members and the wider public will not miss this signal. People have said that the palace has kept quiet about private family matters, which is what it always does. Official spokespeople have just said standard things that stress how important it is to keep family life private. The story of the incident shows that private family fights in a household as well-known and important as the British monarchy can't be fully divorced from issues of legacy succession and public image. There is concern from aides on both sides about a specific case of hurt feelings, but there is also concern about the precedent that has been created. If the heir apparent sets a strict standard right now, it will change how people think the royal family will deal with personal problems in the future, especially when it comes to raising and showing off royal children to the public. A lot of people think that the emotional parts of the event are equally as important as the impact that the treatments have. Some of the comments that have been written about Princess Diana have an emotional impact because of the anguish that the royal family has gone through in relation to her life and death. For many individuals, William's age making fun of her by bringing her up is like reopening old wounds. These wounds have not only caused personal pain, but they have also given rise to a societal duty to protect the dignity of family members. Similarly, any notion that a youngster in a mixed family has been instructed or allowed to utter derogatory comments about another child is very concerning from a moral standpoint. For many parents, the idea that a kid picks up and repeats the biases of adults is just as much of a concern as any fight on the playground. There are also practical effects that go beyond feelings. If Prince William's order is followed, the planning of future events will be affected. To follow his desire for separation, the seating arrangements, invitations, and even the look of public events may need to be changed. If that were to happen, the decision to not give Queen Camilla's grandkids honorary royal status would affect the official list of who is and isn't a part of the core royal family. This distinction has effects on legal affairs, ceremonial matters, and issues that affect different generations. When it comes to the monarchy, the way styles and titles are given out is not only a question of sentiment, it also affects official duties, the order of precedence, security procedures, and public representation. If there were a clear regulation regarding who could come and who couldn't, royal houses and the way official events are planned would have to deal with administrative problems. We still don't know whether the rift will be fixed or not. King Charles has the hard job of mediating between his son, who is vociferous about his family's well-being, and his wife, who is safeguarding her own family and status. People who know how palaces work say that a family can get back together if they both want to, and if they have to work together because of their shared responsibilities. On the other side, there are times when personal grievances become so ingrained that they turn into a regular separation that lasts for years. The present incident has brought many of these long-standing disputes to the surface where they were previously hidden. In this sense, the ways that people resolve these kinds of arguments are not official. They include having private conversations, saying sorry via mediation, and if necessary, negotiating changes to the agreements that have already been signed. The sovereign's private office and the private secretaries of senior royals are very important to these conversations. They help set up meetings, talk about problems, and write any formal statements or agreements that may be needed to restore equilibrium. When dealing with sensitive matters that include kids, the same channels are utilized to stress the need of keeping their emotional health and privacy safe. The Wales family wanted to keep their family problems secret, which is why they asked for a private meeting with the king instead of bringing them up in public. There is this alternative even if the conflict's likely policy effects make it hard to be completely private. It is safe to say that the incident has established a new standard for how to deal with boundary violations involving the royal children. Reports say that Prince William's remark was not only a reaction, it was also a statement. He spoke about a topic in his speech that would probably guide how he acts as a dad and as a future king, the notion that the next generation of the family must be kept secure, dignified, and emotionally safe. This attitude, which comes from his own childhood experiences, the parenting philosophies that his family has chosen, and a belief in the changing priorities of the monarchy, could set the standards for who is included and who is not, as well as who has privileges and who has responsibilities in the years to come. So the incident that happened at Windsor isn't really about the harsh things one small kid said. It's more about how the monarchy handles the change between different generations. It is about how a tradition that has been around for hundreds of years changes to meet today's needs for parenting responsibility and the values that are handed down from one generation to the next in households. In other words, the line drawn at Windsor is not only a response to something that happened when the royal family was young. It is also a statement of principles and a commitment to making respect, protection, and emotional care the most important things in the next period of royal existence. The negotiations that haven't happened yet and the sacrifices that haven't been made yet will decide whether that claim leads to a durable reconciliation or a long-lasting cooling of connections within the family. The Prince of Wales has made it very clear where he stands for now. He has made it clear that the health and happiness of the next generation must always come first in his concept of a monarchy.